Hey, everybody, and welcome to Does It Resonate with You, the woo woo
Hi,
chat show where we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest behind. I'm Angie, the energy renegade,
I'm
and
John, the Tarot
he's
Geek.
there you go. And our very special guest, Valerie Wood. So, Val has been with me from the very beginning of
Mm,
my journey.
wow.
And one of the very first things I remember is the very first session, and it was in a basement of a crystal shop. She was walking down the stairs. I was already down there, and she said, "They're telling me that you can tell me things." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure, sure, I can." All right, then, just one more person I'm paying money to that's going to tell me whatever, and that I'm going to go on my way. Well, I was wrong. She told me things that were just amazing. And then as time went on, sure enough, I have told you things also as well.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited that you're here to join us and to have this little chat with us. There's
Oh,
so many things that you do. You're an art, you're an angel channel, an intuitive, and a medium, and you channel a goddess and Mother Mary. And so
Wow.
just for real quick, tell us a little bit about what you do, what you love to do. What's your favorite thing that you do right now?
oh gosh, so many questions. So I started off being intuitive, probably just like most of the people are going to be listening this, right? Just like all of you guys, right? We just
Mhm.
really recognize our intuition and our connection, and that just started growing. And I met my trance channeling teacher when I was 27. My mom introduced me, and I was like, "Is that real? Is channeling real?" Right?
I
She's
asked
like,
the
"We're gonna
question.
find out." Right? It was absolutely real. I started with her, so I do trance channeling. I channel Archangel Michael. He is my main guide. I have a Japanese goddess called Benziton. She is fabulous. She's the goddess of water and everything that flows. Basically, anybody on the other side, all the angels I connect to, and so forth. And with that becomes mediumship, right? So pretty much anyone on the other side, any loved ones, any angels, any guides that I can connect to. So it's kind of, kind of a little bit of full circle. One of the things that I love to do is I love teaching. I love mentoring. So I like
Mm,
working with people who are spiritual and who are seekers and who are really curious, right? And they ask just good questions, right? They just want to dive in. It's not always, it's not always about superficial, right? Just people that are just kind of dive in and seeking. So I like that, you guys are doing this
cool.
show because it's kind of right up my alley. So thank you.
So grateful to
Sounds
have you
amazing.
here. So Val actually introduced me personally to the very first guide. She's
Yeah.
introduced me to others as well, but the very first one, who is the conductor. Anybody that's been around me and at any time, and I'm sure even on the show, I've mentioned the train meditations.
Hmm.
So the conductor of the train meditations, Matthew, that was the first. Val was the first person who brought him really to my
Huh,
attention.
cool.
And even still, as well connected as I am, we work back and forth the way that we do. She can bring, she can give me an idea of what's happening when there's things I can't quite sort out for myself. So we all, that's what's really interesting is the idea of collaboration and working together. And, you never know everything.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You never on top of everything. So it's really great to have people around you that think like you, that maybe can see your blind spots. And so always and forever, first and foremost, I'm just so grateful that you're my friend, right?
Oh,
Like,
same here. And you're absolutely right. I think before we hopped on the show, we were just saying, it takes a community. I didn't get here by myself, right? I had other
right.
people do that. And I know Angie and we've worked with you, John. I can't wait to,
Yeah,
do
me
stuff.
too.
So, especially when it's our own stuff, sometimes it's just hard to see. And we need other people to help hold that space or facilitate that for us, or just, not clear. What does that mean? So then you phone the friend.
Right.
You want
Right.
to
I
phone a
mean,
friend? Yeah.
That's what
it's
I literally do that, guys.
right.
So,
Cool.
How about
yeah.
when they start saying, you need to call Val, you need to call Val, you need to call Val, and they don't shut up until you actually do it, right? Like that does happen. Like
I
that's a
have
real
had that
thing.
as well.
That is true. You know what? And Angie, you know this. My teachers, their favorite saying is always pay attention, right? And so it is a joke among my friends, and Angie, obviously, you know this. That, they'll be like, "I have a message for you. You must not be paying attention." Right?
Right?
I'm human. I'm busy. I have a
Right.
life. And then they say something, I'll be like, "Oh, I was paying attention. I just didn't get to that yet." Right?
Right? Like
That's hilarious.
it's,
So
you
this
know,
is so much fun. I love to be doing these things. I'm glad that I'm here. So thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm glad
thank
are
you.
too.
So I want to take the first question because I'm dying to ask this question.
Uh-oh.
And it's about no, I think you're gonna enjoy it. It is about Archangel Michael. And I know a number of people that work with Archangel Michael,
Yep.
like you. I actually do. I've made my own
Yep.
connection with him through you.
Yep.
But there's also Radley Valentine, and I've
Yeah.
heard
Oh.
other people who channel and work with Archangel Michael,
Yeah.
and they all say the same thing. And I've noticed it, working with him with you, that he is, shall we say, a little bit cheeky.
You could say that very much. She's very
Right?
funny.
And
Wow.
so I think I guess my question or my thought around that is, I think that speaks to the idea that we're all connecting. We all connect in our own way and we all interpret in our own way, but we're all still connecting to the same energy, right? We're all still connecting to
Mhm.
Archangel Michael. So
Mhm.
there are certain things, certain underlying aspects that remain the same. And literally everyone that I've ever seen that works with him say the same thing. Cheeky, smart aleck, like jokester, those
Yeah.
things come up. So it's amazing. And if you have a session with Val, when she channels him, you can hear it. It's fun. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not somber. And so what do you think about that? Like,
You know,
does that transfer into other energies on the other side as well?
Angels have their own energetic vibration or personality, right? If you want to
Mhm.
talk energy, you can say energy, vibration, or personality. And when I started connecting with him, and he was very sarcastic, and I was thinking, are angels supposed to be sarcastic like that? Like, do they talk like that, right? And the more I worked with him, I'm like, I guess so. And so that's kind of my indicator if somebody is really connecting to him. He can be, reverent and
Sure.
kind and so forth, but he's got he is very funny. And I think that, so when anyone connects to him and he says, oh, he's being a little funny or cheeky or sarcastic, I know that they're the real deal, right? Because I'm like, oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well, isn't it true that when you connect to someone who's passed to the other side, that their personality comes through, right? How they are. If he's, swears like a sailor in real life, he's going to be a little rough coming through, right?
Oh gosh, absolutely. And it's funny because when I first started doing the work, whether it was channeling Michael or doing mediumship, when people come through and it is like a sailor and they like to swear and so forth, I'd be like, can I say that? I'm like, I'm like, is that okay? And then, so you have to get over some of that quickly, right? You have to be able to just, share the message and be like, you're using the F word. And I will be like, okay, I'm going to say something, and I'll say, this is how they're telling me it. I'll say, does it resonate with you? Right?
Right.
Oh my God, he loved that word, right? He used it all the time. And I'd be like, okay.
And Val, I'm sure that you've heard me in sessions where I've said, I'm not saying that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. No, I can't say that. And then because you have your own idea in your head of what kind of reaction it's gonna get.
Exactly.
And then when you actually say it, everybody's like, oh yeah, well, that makes so much sense, right?
Exactly.
And so you just really have to, surrender, right?
Exactly.
Right. Get your ego out of the way.
Put yourself into neutral, right? Whatever that looks like for you.
Yep.
And allow that to come through. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's that I thought so. But it was just really something that I noticed so much. Like everybody says the same thing. You're with Radley Valentine. You're with, just everybody says the same thing. So thank you for that validation, I guess.
You know what I have to say? I love that because doing a lot of spiritual work can get really heavy for a lot of people.
Sure.
And it doesn't always
Lightens
have
the
to be,
mood.
right? It could be really light and funny and, exuberant and happy and joyful. And so sometimes when you're working in the heavy stuff, Michael will come in and just make a sarcastic comment, right? And you can't help but laugh. And so it kind of breaks the tensions a little bit. It kind of brings people back to the present moment, helps them feel comfortable, right? It's like,
I
it's
like
okay,
that. I
right?
like that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, I think there's a piece in the collective consciousness that says that this work needs to be hard. There are people that believe this work is always hard.
Right.
Being an empath is miserable. Well, sure,
Mhm.
it's miserable if that's what you believe,
Right.
right? Which is not to say that it is, some of it's not. There are hard things.
Yeah, there's got to be hard parts.
But there is no mandatory suffering that you have to go through to, get to the next level or whatever, unlike, in Final Fantasy when you have to grind, to collect.
There's a blast
right?
from the past.
Yeah,
goodness.
well, it was a favorite, so there you go.
Wow.
Or Zelda, which there's a new one coming in May, but it's not for this show. Anyway,
That's on our video game show, which we haven't started.
Yeah, I usually say, does that video resonate with you?
Yeah, with me it sure does. So, John, I know you have a little question, and I have some thoughts as an energy teacher, and I know Val has some thoughts on this. So let's hear what you want.
All right.
to know.
So good. Yeah. Thanks. Let me preface this by saying I took a mediumship class with Suzanne Giesman. I don't know if you know the name.
No.
Yeah, she's a medium and an instructor, and it was through Sounds True. So there were like 3,000 people on the call. It was so there was a part for Q&A, but I never got my question answered. So I'm so grateful. We'll ask the question: how does diet, so for example, coffee, wine, sugar, how does that affect my ability to connect to the other side? And I'll also, full disclosure, I love my coffee. I like my glass of wine with dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something? So let me give another example. Radley Valentine is a complete vegan, no alcohol, no coffee. I mean, he's like pure. And I'm not ready to go that unless it's required. So what are your thoughts on that? The body.
Okay. That's a great question. People don't really think about that. So it's not required, John. You do not have to, I'm just going to tell
Let me go
you
get
that.
my beer.
If it was, I don't know if I could be sitting here, right? And so it's not required. And you're human and you're still meant to enjoy some human thing, right?
Okay, yes.
Will say though, when you are going to do any type of work, whether any type of spiritual work, whether you're working with your cards, right, or I'm going to work with a client or channel or whatever it is that diet actually is important, and that if you're eating like a lot of caffeine, heavy alcohol stuff, that keeps you really sluggish. It keeps your energy really sluggish, right? And the whole idea is to open all your energy channels and have the energy flowing fluid through you. And so a lot of sugar, a lot of, caffeine, a lot of alcohol, it just makes your body feel heavy and the energy gets sluggish going through you. So I always say, if you're going to be, going out to like New Year's Eve, right, the day before, you don't probably want to do anything the next day, right?
Okay.
It's going to be really sluggish. You need the energy to go through you.
Or
you just want to like drink water, right? And just be as clean as possible so that the energies can come through you better.
Okay, that's super helpful. So I could say, okay, I'm not going to have my glass of wine with dinner because I'm doing a reading after dinner.
Right.
And I just want to make that nice and clear, nice and clean.
Exactly.
Celebrate afterwards, right?
Right. And if you're eating like really heavy meals, that's not helpful either, right? Because you have all those calories and carbs and so forth.
Yeah.
And so normally I know, if I'm going to be working, I don't eat like a big giant breakfast. I just have like, fruit or whatever, because I know it needs to be light.
Yeah.
But I don't want to live like that, only because I'm human and I like food,
yeah,
right? I like margaritas, so that's kind of like, you're human. I just say, do it, just be mindful. And I think it's just to be mindful. And if you feel like, I can do that and that's how you want to live, I'm like, my gosh, that's great.
Right.
Well,
That resonates with me. It really does.
There are people, right, who do better as vegan, right?
Yeah.
There are those
Absolutely.
people. So it could
Absolutely.
very well be that Bradley Valentine needs that to feel
Oh,
his best,
absolutely, right?
Like I would get so sick as a vegan because it's missing some of the really important things that I need. Like
Yep.
I can't take beans as protein. But this is what I wanted to say. I have been attuned, I can't even tell you how many times, like many different levels. I participated in many repeat classes in energy work, energy attunements, whether it's Reiki or Amakuaki or whatever. And so many times they've said, you're coming to class, no coffee in the morning, right before class. I tried that once. I tried it. Now I'm not talking, I'm not going to go out and have a quadruple espresso, right? But I tried it once. That's right. And that's what you had was a room full of people who were irritable with a headache, participating in something that's supposed to be open and energetic and joyous. So I don't think in that case, it was in anyone's best interest to avoid the caffeine. And then on top of it, not a single teacher, not a single one could explain to me why stay away from the caffeine. Like, right? Like your explanation.
It doesn't have the same effect as alcohol.
Right. So alcohol, heavy meals make you sluggish. You want the energy to flow. Makes sense, right? Caffeine, you don't want to be over caffeinated because you're going to, you're going to be creating a lot of vibration. Okay, you don't want to be over caffeinated. But why can't I have 1 cup of coffee to keep myself from getting a headache?
Right, exactly.
Nobody had an explanation for that. Much like when I asked everybody, why is here? Nobody can answer that one. But anyway,
I'm just gonna say, especially, you have to be comfortable. You have to be able to be in a receiving mode.
I agree.
So if you need 1 cup of coffee or a black tea, like I love tea, right? So if you need that tea in the morning to get you going, that just helps you be comfortable. If you're comfortable, you're more willing to receive the energy more and so forth. And then I think as you just get attuned to the energies and so forth, maybe you wouldn't need the caffeine then, right? Because you're just like, you notice you're just in your body a little bit more, and you'll notice how food really affects you when you're doing the work and energy comes through. And then you'll be like, you know what, when I had that coffee, right, I'm feeling a really jittery and I'm not being calm, and and so then you make those changes. But I think really in the beginning, you just need to take care of yourself and be comfortable so that you can receive, because if you're not comfortable, then you're just like, I'm not ready to listen to what my angels have to say.
Right. And
I'm tired. I need coffee, right?
You're affecting your filter, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're filled with irritation because you haven't had a cup of coffee, the things that come through are going to carry that with them.
That's true.
Right? So
very true.
Great question, John.
Really
great. And he actually has another one, so I'm gonna let him go for it.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So you probably know by my little screen name here, I read tarot, and I love it. When I read, what happens is basically once the cards are out and I close my eyes, the message just comes through. It just comes through. So not exactly the same channeling that everyone else does, but I think it's
channeling.
Okay. All right. Cool. So I took, as I mentioned a minute ago, I took a mediumship class, and the exercises in the class of like practicing, trying to try to do mediumship with your partner were really hard, or they didn't seem to result in anything. And so my question is this connecting going to get stronger over time just by continuing to do it? Is it a matter of practice, or is it possibly something I'm not really wired for? What do I need to know about? Like, I feel the tarot stuff getting better and the channeling getting, stronger. Depends on the day sometimes. But I switched to this other thing, mediumship class, and it all seems like brand new. And it's like, it doesn't seem to be working. So tell me about that.
Okay, so let's see. First of all, yes and no. Yes, anybody can do it and it takes a lot of practice,
Mhm.
right? But I will say no, is that some people, it's just, like athletes, some people are meant, that's their trade, right? One
Sure.
person could be a good, great football player, another person's a great basketball player, right? And so forth. And so I think everyone has the ability to do mediumship, and I always say, especially if it's a loved one, you're closer connected to that loved one than I ever will be,
Mm.
and it's just really is just a practice with that. I think what's going on with, in particular with you, John, is that sometimes we get used to using different tools, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
you use the tarot cards as your tool, and
Mhm.
what happens is that your body is like a trigger, like an on switch, and it's your body's like, oh, he's using those cards, we're on, right? And so the brain patterns and everyone's like, we're on, and then you could just kind of channel the energy, and
Hmm.
that's your tool. You use it, right?
Yeah,
Because you're
that's giving me
just
chills.
channeling the
That's cool.
energy. And so with mediumship, you're using your little physical body. You're
Mhm.
not using necessarily outside tools all the time. It's like you can, like you guys were doing the seance with the cards and so
Yeah.
forth, right? But it's just a different tool and a different way of using it. And some people resonate with that better, some people don't. But I think, can it be learned? It can be learned. But do you want to put in that time and that practice to learn it that way, right? And I don't know if that it really, I'm not sure that really matters. I just feel like you find the way that works for you, right? And if
Right.
the tarot
Right.
cards work for you and you're
Yep.
channeling that information and you're getting grandma on the other side from that, then that's how it comes out, right? Like that's okay.
true. Yeah.
I just say use the tarot. And Archangel Michael's telling me to tell you that a lot of exercise people give, and myself included, is just a way to help you get to be a catalyst, but not everything's going to be a catalyst for you or right for
Okay.
you, that
Yep.
exercise,
I
right?
actually took the class because I
Mhm.
wanted to do better in tarot. And one of the things I got from the class was a system of really like calming, connecting, expanding the energy, expanding the aura, and then saying, okay, go. So that method helped me a great deal to know to put in practice kind of a preparation before I do a reading. So that was so good, and if nothing else, that made it worth it.
Oh, totally worth it. So that's why you were there, to learn from her.
Okay,
Just that one thing right
really,
there, right?
yeah, that does resonate with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Keep
Yeah.
practicing. I just
Mhm.
feel like you're going to be channeling more, right? More is going to come out and come through.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Thank you.
So it's interesting, because like if you look at Tyler Henry, you look at all the different mediums that do different things, they all have different, they use some kind of tool, and mostly what the tool is to get their ego out of the way, right? To distract their
Yeah.
brain.
Right. Yep.
Tyler Henry scribbles
Yeah, I was
on a
gonna
pad.
Scribbles.
say,
Right?
Yeah.
He scribbles, he scribbles, he
Mhm.
scribbles. That is not about what information is coming through in the scribble. That is about engaging his brain and his hand to get his ego out of the way to allow the energy to come through.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's
cool.
exactly what's happening there. So
Mhm.
that's why the cards, right? I know somebody who actually wrote herself a deck of cards, built herself a deck of cards based only on the major arcana,
Cool.
simply for the purpose of pulling cards just to be able to connect and channel.
Huh.
So those cards are not really about reading, like doing a reading.
Right.
They're about using the cards to connect to a particular energy and get her. She actually puts her ego in a glass box over there, like,
I like that.
which
Yeah.
is very
You
effective,
mentioned that
by the way.
before. I like that metaphor. That's cool.
Right? So I really believe that everybody can do all of these things. Like
Yeah.
all of it's available. But
Mhm.
I mean, I've been, tossing around mediumship back and forth. I can make those connections, but I discovered I don't really want to,
Yeah, exactly.
like, because it's a particular person that you're dealing with mediumship, right? Like the people
Mhm.
are very often in grief. And I don't,
You mean the client?
it's right. So it's not that I feel like they shouldn't be in grief. That's not it. It's just not my jam. I'm a bull in a china shop. I'll say it again. We all know this. I am not the one that can be, quiet and delicate. I just can't.
Yeah.
Like when I owned my tax office, all those people wanted to know I was in the building, but they didn't necessarily want to sit across the desk from me. They wanted to know I was there. right? And I was okay with that, right? I really was, because I went around eavesdropping and probably saved myself a lot of money that way. But so the point is, maybe for as far as mediumship goes, it's more difficult to make the connection because it's not really the end result you're looking for. You're looking for a better way to connect with the cards or to connect with the messages that come through with the cards, right? So, although I will say that Oracle seance was flipping amazing.
That was the bomb.
Like,
Yep.
it was so good.
Yeah. That was
And that's how you do it, right?
Right.
That's
We
very cool.
incorporated
Totally
two
used the
ideas, put them
cards.
together.
Oh man, it was so good. I mean, right? It was just so good. So anyway, yeah. So there you go. All right.
I got another question.
Oh, go ahead.
Not to take up all the airtime here, but hey,
No, that's all right. We have plenty of time. We have a few minutes before shameless plug time.
All right, cool. So here's the question: when you connect to someone who's passed on the other side, is that process different for you than it is to connect to your guides and angels?
For me, no.
Okay, so basically, you kind of take your pick of who you're going to connect to, and it feels pretty much the same.
Yeah, well, I will say it feels different. So I've been doing this so long and I am empathic, so I feel everything, right? So people will ask me, how do you know it's grandma? How do you know it's Michael? Or how would you discern the difference between like Archangel Raphael and Archangel Michael, right? And so for me, I learned how the energy works. I'm visual, so I'll either see that it's grandma, right?
Wow.
That's a given.
Okay. Or
for me, I'll just feel it and I'll just say, their energy feels different for me. So Michael's energy is really strong and powerful. I want to sit up straight, right? I'm not like, I'm relaxed, right? Yep. I'm sitting up straight. And our Mother Mary's, I'm just feeling this loving, nurturing energy coming into me, that kind of stuff. So for me, it doesn't matter. It's all about me where I'm going to put my awareness at, right? So am I going to put my awareness to a loved one, or am I putting my awareness to one of your angels or guides?
Okay.
And so, but how I get it is still the same. I'm either going to hear them, I see them, I feel them. I just know that they're there, right? They're just showing up.
Cool.
Great question.
Or sometimes it's the one that's the pestiest.
Sometimes it's the one who's the loudest.
Yeah, right. They can be very pesty. Like they some of them, if they've got something, if they're trying to get your attention, it's like, well, who's that lady over there in the yellow dress?
Right.
Like,
she won't be quiet.
And I mean, that literally happened to me. I was at a seance at my friend. I really do have a friend who's a mind reader. Of course I do. But I was at a seance at his space, and there was this woman in a yellow dress. And it turned out that the other medium that was there recognized her as an energy from the time of like the Ringling people that used to own this building that they were in. So I was like, oh, okay, well, she can go away now because I don't, like, I mean, it's just, it's like, it's not entertaining for me anymore. Just go away. You're taking my attention from what I'm here for. Right. Like, so.
Yeah.
But
what I will say, I just, Archangel Michael's telling me to tell you something. So when I'm just connecting with angels and mediumship, it's where I'm putting my awareness. But when and you guys will understand this because you're starting to do this, when I channel, it's a little bit different process, right? So when I'm connecting to them, I'm pushing my energy outside and I'm connecting to them outside. And when I channel, it's an enmeshing or merging of, Michael's energy or Archangel Raphael or Gabriel, whoever, right? Their energy is literally merging within me inside my body. So it's just like a combination that way, but it's more inside of me. And I'm doing internally. Where if I'm just doing mediumship and more like, this is your angel's guide, that's outside of me, right? I'm just putting my awareness there. So that's a little bit the difference between
and as a person who has experienced, the work with you, I can see that. I mean, I've seen it, like I recognize it, that, and even when the different ones, when you're channeling Michael as compared to Ben Zaitin, or I can see the difference. It's very much like when you listen to me and you can tell, like, oh, there have been people who were like, oh, that's Matthew. I recognize him, because he speaks differently than pink or silver. Yeah, they're colors. But that's that's a story for another day.
Oh man!
But so people
I gotta ask about that.
Well, sure. Oh yeah, I'm always happy to tell you. Cool. They're right here anyway. But So it's different for everyone, right? But so there's how do we put that, Val? It's like there's nothing new under the sun, only new ways to present it, right? So
Yeah.
everybody has their own way of making the connection, but I mean, in the end, you are connecting to, receiving, and interpreting energy. However that works for you, based on your personal vibration, your physiology, your filter, and what kind of work are you willing to put in for it. Some people are naturally, have mediumship tendencies and been seeing ghosts since they've been little kids.
Absolutely.
And half the people that I work with now are people who saw them when they were little and were either frightened or told by their parents that was a bad thing, that we don't do that kind of thing.
Right.
And then now those things are reasserting themselves because as they would, right? You would expect.
Right.
I mean, now that I know what I know. So, a lot of it is about what you believe you can do.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I do yoga, I believe I can stand on my head. Now I would probably kill myself if I actually tried it, but I still believe it in my head, right? Okay, so before we move on, it is time for shameless plugs.
All right.
So we're going to start. I want to start really quick with everybody. Please reach down and hit the subscribe button. And also, if you could hit the like button, that would be amazing because, YouTube counts that stuff.
Yep.
Also,
it's part of the algorithm.
Yes, it is. I mean, and we love an algorithm, do we not? So there's that. Also, very, very soon, there will be doesitresonatewithyou.com. We're just about ready to release it. So we're really excited. You'll be able to see all these videos. You'll be able to find out things about us. You will also have access to our group events and our parties that we're going to start doing. And, that'll be the first place to find out what's going on. So there's that. On Sunday, this is my last plug. On Sunday, I have the wheel meditation, which is a way for you to connect with certain aspects of yourself at different timelines on your life.
Cool.
Along with a visit with with one of your guardian angels that is always present on this wheel. So while it's not the train, that train is the
I'm
best.
getting on your next train, Angie.
You absolutely should. You absolutely should. While it's not the train, this is a really powerful way for you to connect to and clear the connection between you and your younger self, you and your current self, and you and your future, or what I like to call the ultimate version of yourself. Help you clear your path, put yourself into better alignment. And that is on Sunday. It's at 7 p.m. Central. You can find it on my Facebook page, Lasting Serenity.
Awesome.
There you go.
All right. My shameless plug for the week is my tarot website. It's tarotgeek.com. That's TAROTGEEK.com. And you can sign up for a reading. You can find out a little bit more about me. But that's my metaphysical presence on the web and my upcoming book. So the Woo Woo book is the name of my book. It'll be out in a couple, probably in a month or two. And I have a website for that. It's woowoobook.com. That's WOOWOOBOOK.com. You can sign up for a free chapter and also get on the pre-release list. So I would greatly appreciate if you would do so.
I love that name, Woo Woo Book.
Right? And I was astounded that there wasn't one out there already.
I'm surprised because everyone talks about woo woo. Right?
Yeah.
Just make sure you spell my name right if you put it in there for those questions I answered. Just thought I'd put that out there.
Yes. That's one of the to-do fixes right now. I'm in the editing stages of the book.
So he's already admitting he screwed it up.
No. I just have you identified as Angie.
Oh, okay.
And what I need to do is go back to all the mediums that I worked with to get, that part of the book.
You can see it right on the screen. It's all caps.
Right.
Do not make it up or in lowercase or I will have to burn the book. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Because, it's very meaningful to my husband. Not all of them. Like, I don't care about the ones other people have, but I won't be able to have it.
All right. Long and short of it is, I'm in editing right now, and it's the most tedious part of the writing process. it's like I had a bunch of beta readers help me out, and like, oh, this didn't resonate with me, and if you change this around, that would make more sense. And they're all really, really valid comments.
Yeah.
But it's a big part of the book writing process that's I'm plowing through to get to the finish line.
All right. And then Val, can you see the comments? Valerie-wood.com, right? Valerie-wood.com.
That is true.
That is Val's website. I know that website by heart because I sort of built some of it.
My website. If you want to know about any classes or things I'm going to have coming up, you're only going to get it through my email list. So join and subscribe.
I'm going to do that right now.
Okay. Do you have any classes or anything coming up? And they can schedule if they would like to do a session with you, they can schedule.
Yeah, just go to my website, right? Or send me send me an email, ValerieKWood@yahoo.com. I'll sign you up, right? So
there you go.
Way, right?
Excellent.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's it for the shameless plugs for today.
I got another question if no one else does.
Well, I do have.
I love your questions,
John.
Go ahead.
All right. So there's a lot of mediums in the media right now, and I'm wondering if you have a favorite author, favorite personality that you like to follow or read. I'll tell you one that I was just blown away by, and this is probably because it was the first one, was Laura Lynn Jackson. I've read a number of her books. The Light Within Us was my favorite book, and
that's
I was
one. That's
right.
A really good one.
I literally started that book, and I think I read it in one sitting, if not one, then two. But I finished it like 3:00 in the morning because I could not put it down. I was just amazed at her stories and her being so conscientious about what she does. It was such a great story. So sorry, what do you have a favorite?
Oh my gosh, it's kind of like movies. That's hard. So,
true.
A mediumship, because I didn't start out doing mediumship. I started doing like angel work and so forth. So that's kind of hard. John Edwards, I would say, was one of my, first,
I like him.
mediumship. John Holland. I love John Holland. I've done some, workshops with him. He's great. I think Lisa, we did Lisa Williams. Angie and I did a Lisa Williams class.
I did the Lisa Williams too.
You were there?
Yeah, last year.
Not at the one.
No,
he's not local.
No, I did the Zoom one.
Oh, okay.
We actually met Lisa. Like we did a live workshop with her here in Illinois. That was where I also met Radley Valentine. Was at that?
Kidding. I like her. She's funny. She's a little irreverent.
Yes.
She suits me just fine.
Yeah.
Right. You know what? And I'm a huge reader. So, there are so many great books out there that have inspired me throughout the years. I don't know if I can even list them. I mean, somebody just brought up, one of my clients just brought up like the Celestine Prophecies. That's an old one that, some stuff that I read is not even about angels. It's just spiritual books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Greg Braden, Sonia Choquette. I've worked with, did classes with Sonia Choquette. I loved all of her stuff. It's just so many good people out there. I just say you cannot learn enough.
Right.
And you can never stop growing and learning and keep reading. So people that love reading, you cannot read enough.
All right, Val, we are going to become great friends. I am an avid reader. So
I want your book list,
Ben. Show here. I'm the reader, and Angie is the doer.
No, yeah,
there you go. Man. Oh, here, Angie. Do you want to read this book? It's by the guy that sort of invented energy work. Yeah, no, but you could tell me about it when you're done.
That's how we work.
I love that.
Yeah,
I'm a reader, and I will highlight it, and my youngest son will be like, "Why are you reading a book with highlighting?" I'm like, "That's how I like to do it, right?"
Although I will say I bought a book, and I am going to crack it open, and hopefully I'll be able to read it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Fear is a Choice.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Well, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Fear is a choice. So for our episode on fear, I thought I would read this book because I believe that fear is a choice. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're a grown-up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
That'd be
It's
interesting to
different
see
if
what it
you're
says.
it's different if you're a child, but I think fear, to some degree, fear is a choice. But that's not for today. So now it's my turn for a question.
All right.
Because I found this to be really
Okay.
interesting. It was something that I had never run across before. And again, it was at this seance, and there was a lady there who said that and she was looking to connect with somebody from the other side,
Uh-huh.
but she was seeing 444 over and over and over again. And aside from the fact that I do believe it's possible that you focus on it so hard that now you're just looking at the clock at the same time every day, but I also very firmly believe in signs and in if you don't have the connection to hear it, like I stopped seeing like things like that so much because now I can hear them all, right? So it's rare that I see a sign out in the world. Like they don't, for me, that's for me. But
Ironically, I'm seeing them all the time now, and that's my indication that I need to pay attention and listen. So
right. See, but I listen because they
Right.
don't give me a darn
You-
choice.
you've
Like
gone
let's just
beyond
say they right. So it's not better. I'm not better. It's just different, and I've been doing it longer, right?
Yep.
But what was really something to me that it never occurred to me is that she literally said, "Well, it scares me. I see this every day, and I'm afraid." And I thought, I run across so many people who are all over the idea this is angel numbers or this is a loved one trying to get in touch with me, and I believe all those things. But so many people find it, filled with hope and possibility, and to run across somebody in whom this strikes fear, I thought, oh, that's kind of sad, right? So is that a belief thing that would make it fearful, or what do you think? Where do you think that fear might originate from?
So I just have to give a little Archangel Michael comment here, right? Because he's like, Randy, you know the answer to the question. And he's getting a little sarcastic, like you're asking a question, right?
I know that I do know, but he also knows that maybe I'm not the correct one to deliver that answer. So ask him about that
he's
one.
ringing the bell and going ding ding, true. Okay, so
cute.
Okay, so this is the response I would give to that, right? So when something is new, and especially when something is quote woo woo, right, or their definition of woo woo, people get uncomfortable, and what you don't know and uncomfortable, it's could be a little scary, right? You don't understand that, so you think 444, what does that mean? And depending on where they're at in their life and what they've learned when they've been a little kid, right? What they've seen, what they've heard, what they've read, their feelings attached to it. They can, certain things will trigger certain unconscious uncomfortableness or fears, right? It may not be a fear, it just may be like, I'm not uncomfortable with seeing 444 everywhere. Like, is that okay? Right. And so that's okay. I'm just going to say that's okay.
Right. Well, absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
And but I'm also here to say that, all of these repetitiveness, because this is actually what I teach with science, when it's strange, weird, woo-woo, right? It's repetitive and you're just like, oh my gosh, what was that, right? Or why do I keep seeing those same numbers all the time? I can tell you 1,000% that's probably one of your angels, your guides, or a loved one, just trying to give you a sign that you just can't, get inside here, because a lot of times when we get internal messages, we'll think of a loved one or so forth, or we're thinking about our angels, but we haven't discerned yet that it's coming from them. When we have our thoughts, we just assume it's our own thoughts, right? And we just have been trained to teach how it's not our own thoughts and something random coming in and your angels are whispering to you, right? John, do this. Angie, go here, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times it is outside of yourself and it's external, and that's normal. And I think that it's great that you recognize that it's being repetitive, and it's great. I think the key is to question that and to be like, am I okay? I'm safe. And my response would be, yeah, 1,000% you're safe. And how lucky you are, right?
Right. And it was, I mean, the idea that she asked that question in the space that she was in, where
Yeah,
people could say, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. I love getting those." Like it was
absolutely.
able to bring some comfort to her.
Yeah. You know
And
what? It was
so,
like, I just want to share something because my oldest son is 25 now, but when he's really little, he would be like, I just saw somebody walk through that wall, and he would just be like freaking out,
No way.
Yes. And he would just have like all kinds of crazy stories. And he would get worked up about it because first he was young, but
Right.
then,
right,
it's scary. It's
sure,
scary if you've seen something, hearing something, something's repeated. And my response was, oh my God, you are so lucky. You just probably saw one of your guys walking through. He's hanging out with you. That is so cool. And he'd be like, oh, I'm supposed to look at it that way? Like it's cool? I'm like, it's cool. And so that
Wow,
kind
you're
of
the best
shifts the
mom ever.
energy, right?
Yeah,
That helps them
that
feel
is,
like it's not
I love
scary.
that, affirming it.
Mhm,
right.
Wow.
And that really speaks to what I was talking
yeah,
about. How many
mhm,
people I work
yeah,
with who are like, well, I get mediumship information in dreams or what have you.
right.
And my first question is always, did you see spirits when you were a child?
Hmm.
Oh,
And I invite them to think about it. Well, yes, but I don't anymore. And it's
mhm,
because it was shut down in some way. So but I wanted to tell a little story about signs because I love that you teach about signs and how people can connect to and discern and get some information. One of the things I tell people when they're trying to make that connection is ask your guides, teachers, and angels, the loved ones, to give you signs that are easy to spot in the physical world, right?
Hmm.
mhm,
That's good.
So there's
yeah,
that, like that's like the first, like you're the boss, right? Like you ask them for what you want, and if you believe they will,
They will.
right?
Hmm.
But there was one that I found so interesting as a friend of mine, and she was seeing pennies here and there, right?
yeah,
She was seeing pennies here and there, and she tells me this story. And so when she's seeing these pennies, she wasn't really quite believing they were from, let's say her father. I don't remember who it was. She wasn't quite believing that that's where they're, because it could be a coincidence. There could be a penny on the floor. So
right.
she had a conversation with somebody about seeing these pennies. But Val, I know you are a show me, right? Like you're a show me person. So she was having this conversation, and she's like, "Well, I just don't know if I believe it." So then the next thing she knew, instead of just seeing a penny, she was seeing little piles of change. Like,
Let's
and
just
Oh, they're
turn up the
good.
volume.
right, like she's like, Angie, you can't believe, but like when I feel like he's around, I just see these, not a penny, not a dime and a nickel, but a little pile of change. And I was like, see that, ask, you put it out there what you need, and
Yeah.
then somewhere along the line it comes back to you, like you are in control, right? Like, so I think that's just so amazing.
Maybe she should
So
have asked for dollar bills or something.
I know, right? Like,
I'm with you, John.
right? Like, I mean,
Can I
what
have
did it
that in
fall out of his pocket?
hundreds?
Where do they get all that change? I don't know.
Where did they get it?
Right? Like,
Yeah.
they still have their change in their pocket or what? Anyway, so there's that, but then there's also, I do find, and I believe in signs. Like,
Yeah, I know
let's
you do.
make sure that you understand. I
Mhm.
believe in signs. I
Yeah.
believe in information from the other side. Like, it's what I do, right? Give people information from the other side. So I believe that. But I think that there's sometimes when people will say, "Oh, look, I found a piece of paper on the floor. What
Yeah.
is it a sign? What does it mean?" Or, like sometimes I think this is my favorite, like, saying of yours. Sometimes a rock is just a rock, right? And
Yeah.
so, what would you say to somebody if they came to you and said, well, I saw this or I saw this, you know, how do you help a person discern whether it's a sign or whether it's just a rock?
Mhm. So, well, if you take my class, you might not
There
have to
you
because I'm
go.
going to give you a little, tell you right now, right? So, there's some kind of, there's several things you look for. One is that you'll get like goosebumps, or you say, that is just so weird.
Right.
That's so weird, right? Why am I always waking up at that time? That's so weird, right? You're like, hmm. Or it's repetitive. right? You've seen the repetitive things over and over and over. So those are the things that I kind of look for, repetitiveness, or the things that gives me goosebumps, or I say that's weird, or it makes me pause. Even if I'm not saying it's weird, something will happen, right? Because especially if an external sign, you see that hot fly in front of your car and you're like, oh, that's like a pause, right? You're like, you're not saying, oh, wow, that's crazy weird. You're just like, So I always say, is there a pause? Is you're feeling like goosebumps? Are you feeling like that's weird? Is it repetitive and so forth? Those are the things that are going to be the signs. So if it's just your squirrel and you always see a squirrel every day, right?
Sometimes a squirrel is just a squirrel.
I'm looking at him. I'm outside my window here. You can't see it, but I'm looking at it, right? I'm like, that's not going to be my sign. I see that all the time, right? A squirrel is just a squirrel, and so forth. So I always ask, right? Is it weird? Are you seeing it all the time? Did it give you chills? Did it just make you pause and be like, maybe you think about that, right? Like, okay.
Can I tell my penny story? I have another story for you.
Yeah, I love stories.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this is years ago, kind of at the beginning of my journey into woo-woo, and I was working in a co-working space, and I would go for walks with my coworkers downtown, and I would find pennies all the time, and I kept trying to figure out, is this the universe telling me that my financial worries are over because I'm finding money, or is it telling me that I shouldn't be stooping to pick up pennies because I should be concentrating on bigger things? And I kept trying to think, right? And it wasn't until a year or so later that I realized they were just signs to pay attention. So I was trying to dig into there, like, what are they trying to tell me? It must be something very specific. No, it was just the signs. And now I look back and like, wow, there's a lot of them that like daily I would be picking up pennies.
So isn't that interesting, right? That because that's it. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this sign. I'm seeing 444 every day. I'm seeing, and it's like, well, okay, great. Now what?
Right.
Like, what
does it mean?
I read years ago. It's a sweet little story. I don't remember where it was, but it was just about this man had a lot of money and he was with another friend. And every time they were out together, they saw a penny, he'd pick it up and he'd be like, why are you picking up that penny? You don't need a penny, right? And he's like, I don't pick up the penny because I need it. I pick up the penny because what it says on there. And the other guy he's with is like, well, what does it say in there? And he pulls out a penny. He's like, it says, in God we trust. So every time I see that, every time I see a personal penny, right, I pick it up and I'm thinking, I always remember my angels. Oh, thank you guys, right? I just have to trust you. Isn't that a nice story? And it's a reminder. Really, so when I see coins, I pick them up and I'm like, thank you, because it's a reminder to trust you, right? Trust the source.
And I remember one time I found a penny in the middle of my hallway in my apartment that I have no idea how it got there. And this was before I started this journey. Like, I mean, it was an unlikely spot for a penny is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if it's in the laundry room or at the bottom of the laundry basket, you know what I mean? But this was in the middle of the hallway and I was like, oh, okay. And one of the things I always did with a coin was look at the year. And so I looked at the year and the pen, and this was in like 2000, 2005, somewhere between 2005 and 2010. And I picked it up and I looked, and the year of the coin was 1975, which was the year my mother passed away. And Val knows because we've seen each other so much. She's really hard. Yeah. She was really hard for me to connect to. So there's all kinds of ways those little things could be meaningful. If you find a rock, maybe it's the color of the rock. If you find a coin, maybe it's the year on the coin. If you find a nickel, maybe it's because you used to go and buy, nickel candy with this person. Or, if you find feathers, well, sometimes it means you have ducks swimming in your pool, which I do every spring. But
I've had feathers show up in the weirdest places.
Yeah, but sometimes, like, although they are kind of a pain in the neck in the pool, I'm just going to say right now. Right? Like, so it's just so, I can't believe that we're almost out of time already.
Right? I know, darn it all.
You know what you're bringing up? I can't let this go before you guys go. Is that it's personal to you, right? I think we were
Mhm.
talking
Right.
about this before we got on.
Right.
So
It's
just because I pick
personal
up
to you.
a penny, it's a reminder to me, to trust my angels and guides and they're with me, right? You pick up a penny, Angie, you're going to look at the year, right? And
Right.
John, it's going to be something else for you. So it's,
Mhm.
I cannot stress enough that the signs are going to be so personal to you.
And I'm glad that you brought that up,
Yeah.
because I was just telling somebody the other day, a client that I was working with, colors are very meaningful for her. So
Mhm.
a really great idea is to take a journal and journal these things that you find, right?
Yeah.
Because you will start to see patterns. So this particular person, for her, everything was color. She might like see
Mhm.
purple everywhere, or she might see.
Hmm.
So I told her, I said, get yourself a sketchbook, color, color the blocks.
Oh,
Start with the chakra colors, right? Red, orange, yellow,
yeah.
green. Roy, good old Roy,
RGB.
right? Start with that, and as you're coloring, allow that coloring to sort of take your mind out of the
Mm,
equation and just see what comes through, what that brings up for
yeah.
you. So,
Great idea.
right, like
Yeah.
there's so many things that you can do, and so many ways that you can make these connections for yourself.
Yeah.
My guides don't talk to me in color because I'm colorblind. So
Oh, well, see,
Oh,
there
but
you
see,
go.
then you're not going to receive color signs.
nope, numbers are working just fine. Thank you.
Right. So Val, do you have any final thoughts before we go? And I don't know if you have a deck, or if you want to just give like a random message when we go. We always draw a card at the end of the show. And I apologize for not telling you that, but I have a feeling, actually have a feeling that Ben Zeiton has something to say. So
Wow.
if you don't mind just, checking
No.
that out.
Okay,
I
you
think
know
she
what?
has a little something.
Yeah, so she's great. She's really practical. So she's a little bit different than angel energies, right? Angel energies are more kind of esoteric. She's very like human practical, which I love. She's just it's interesting. She's going back into the word that first and foremost, you need to trust yourself. Right. So we talk about that. So no matter what signs that you get, no matter what you read about them, that, one means this, like penny means this, feather means this, and so forth. It's really just, she talks about the divine spark is in you, in your body. So she's always like, it's really about you just sliding in and connecting to that divine spark within you to see what that means to you. Right. And trust you, because a lot of times people will be like, was that real? Right. Is that real? Or
Right.
am I interpreting that right? How do I know what that means? And so forth. So she said to create a great foundation is to just kind of go slide within and to check with your own spirit and to say, well, what does that mean to me? And start trusting that. And that trust is going to create a better foundation with you and your communication between your guides, whoever your guides are, whoever you
Wow,
connect
that's
to,
good.
and so forth. Which I love that. I think that's a
Yeah.
great idea. Mm-hmm.
And very, very valuable information.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Pick a
just
card.
Right. Go ahead,
Yeah.
John.
Okay.
I
So,
have to shuffle three more
I'm
times.
pulling one out of what's called the Fairy Forest deck.
Mm,
Ooh,
Yeah.
that was cool.
that
one
disappeared, but
here.
Like that.
I'll show it again.
Ooh.
I like the way that looks.
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that background you got there. There you
Yep,
go.
there we
I
go.
was just connecting fairies earlier today for one of my dear, dear clients. I was like, there's fairies around you. They're the best.
Yes.
Right?
So this is a deck that I don't use very often, but I was asked or reminded to pull it out today.
Right.
And there's one card that I pulled out, and the card is the Trickster. So we were just talking about Archangel Michael, and this card is not his card, because the card goes on and it talks about deceit and betrayal and other themes like that. But I know I was guided to pull this card because we were talking about Archangel Michael being somewhat of a jokester and a trickster. So there we go.
Love
there
it.
you go.
And you know what? That's a testament, because he had you pull the trickster card, right?
Right.
It's kind of like, ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, I know. I'm like,
Right, there you
okay,
go.
thank you, I got it.
Okay, and I am using the Archangel
it.
Michael
That's my
Sword of
favorite
Light
deck.
Oracle by Radley Valentine, published by Hay House. It is right now currently like my most favorite deck.
Everybody's been saying that to me, Angie. I don't have that deck
It's
yet. I need to
amazing.
get it.
You need to get that deck.
Mhm.
I love this deck. I love this deck. Oh, P.S. Just give it a minute, and the Hay House will have a 50% off sale again.
2 for 1.
Anyway, so I pulled card number 10, and it's "Don't Settle for Less," and it says, "You are a child of the divine, and you deserve to have your dreams come true. Don't give up." So, what an appropriate message, right?
Yeah.
For this, because sometimes people will say, well, whatever, I see these 4s and I don't know what it means, and eventually they, instead of just being comforted by it or taking it for what it is, I think it's a real human thing to give up. So remember that you're not only human, but you're a child of the divine, and don't give up, because the information, if you practice and pay attention, if I could learn to do it, if I can be the one that Val walks down the stairs and says, well, they tell me you can tell me things. And I did not believe you. I did not believe you.
You gave me the
believe you at all.
look. Like, huh?
Well, right.
That's really affirming, Angie. That is so good to hear.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. That is, no way. Yep. No, and I had so many people telling me, well, you could be one of us. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Sure, I could, right? Like, all right then. And then there was that period when I worked with you. So it's really important to work with another person, I think, too. Like, don't be an island to yourself, or don't try to do all this on your own. And look at people with a number of different perspectives on how this works, because just because I say it works doesn't mean it will work for you. But just because somebody else told you something and it didn't work doesn't mean I don't have something that will work for you, or Val, or you, John, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you have to find the muse, right?
Right.
So
and what resonates with you.
Right. Right. I mean, and it's, but it is out there that, like, there's kind of only one way to do things, and that's not really how it works. So I am ever, always so grateful to you, Val. And I remember, like, every time I go see Val, I can do something new.
I know, you said that to me all the time, and I thought, pressure.
I know, right? But it was true. It was really, really the truth. There was a while there where every time I went to see you, you pointed out a new guide, or you pointed out, something new came through, and I was like, oh, look at this, and the next thing I knew, I was channeling meditations. And
all right, we got to talk, Val.
Okay, John.
Seriously.
It's a plan.
Yep, there you go. All right.
All right.
Well, again, thank you ever so much. This has been episode 7. I can't believe it already. The time has just flown. We are so grateful, and I do hope, Val, there's so much more to talk about, that you'll agree to come back.
Oh, God, absolutely.
Be sure to go check out Val's website. Be sure to go check out Valerie-Wood.com. And check us out too. I'm Angie.
I'm John.
And this is Does It Resonate With You? Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for joining.